Don't want to say.
But I think that all the positions were filled, so we'll see. But they have to show up anywhere.
Okay. That's good to hear. I just think you have to have some trained eyes on the matter, you know.
We can- The museum is getting an elevator,
What's that?
so in the village or in the city, they're getting an elevator.
Are you asked?
No, they are getting,
Oh, they are?
yeah,
Rowdy too.
No.
yes,
It is?
yeah, and they asked me to monitor the construction.
You're the clerk of the works.
How about the front? But you weren't at,
I'm showing up this afternoon for a meeting.
oh,
And,
okay, well, that's good to hear.
yeah, I can walk there, so.
Well, they're also going to be installing an entire new, well, they're going to affect the facade a great deal by adding a disability ramp, which
Oh, right, right.
you're aware of that project, yeah.
You should say it's a historical museum, hand operated elevator that, you know, remember when we had people who would run the elevators as you got on.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, right.
Let's go back to that day, create employment.
You could probably borrow the one out of this building, because they're not gonna use that one ever again.
Yes.
Turn over.
Oh, you betcha, that's a beauty. It's a beauty, and everybody knows that they have to just not work it over, because
I grew up in New York City. A lot of the elevators were still operated by
I remember it.
guys.
Great job.
I did not hear.
Hit us ups and downs, right?
We have a quorum.
No.
Maybe not.
You can try and reach somebody.
Ben, I mean, RJ's in Florida right now.
You could zoom in, couldn't he? Or it'd have to be
Well,
in person.
we have to vote in person, so,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
so we're,
Ben could bring his baby.
well, is it, a quorum would be, if we have two vacant seats,
We did quorums based on the full.
on the seven,
Yeah,
not the five with the two vacant, yeah, so we need the four, that's what I thought.
Bye. Wait, go home now? No, not how that works.
Well, we can have informal discussion if it's useful and schedule something else, but I want to see if I can find a phone number for Ben, unless Irene, are you?
No, it's
investigating
fine.
it?
It's fine. I'm here.
Don't know.
I have it. Do you want me to call him?
Yeah,
This came up the other night at the planning board meeting too.
You have applications for potential members, right, David?
many.
That's what I
Go
thought.
straight to
So
voicemail.
this, in theory, you should be able to, once your nominating committee goes through, you can get more people on.
Yeah,
so did you try calling him?
Yeah, it went straight to voicemail.
Oh,
Well, why don't we get started? It's past, time. Right, we're working here?
we are working. Oh,
Okay,
hold on. I got
sounds good.
Oh, there's people in the meeting.
I'd like to call the, what's today, the, March 8th,
March 8th, yeah.
got the wrong agenda here.
Oh, Ben's.
March 8th, 2024, City of Geneva IDA meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. First line of business is the February 2024 minutes. Like a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, any
Yeah.
discussion, any corrections?
We can't have votes without a
Oh,
quorum.
great.
Okay, so you're right, so.
We do have Ben by Zoom, but again, we don't have a quorum in person, so we can't.
Ben's, yeah, he can't make it in, huh? He is here now? Ben, can you hear us?
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we have some votes. We don't have a quorum without you being here. We have a few things we'd like to vote on. Is there any way that you can get here a little bit later? Because we could delay the motions until, you know, we can go through some of the first line of business and then is that a possibility with your situation this morning?
I could probably make it in around 9 or 9:15. I'm just waiting for a contractor to show up at the house to look at something.
All right, please make an effort if you can to get in here. We'll postpone some of the stuff to the end. All right, I'd appreciate
Certainly,
it.
yep. Sounds
All right.
good.
Thank you. Okay. All right, we'll just delay thank you for making the motions. There's no vote on the financial report or the minutes. Let's go to the Geneva Central School report. I don't see anyone here from that.
Yeah, they were not gonna be in.
Okay, Miles, I see you're on the phone. Do you want to give us the report about the GEDC? You're still muted, Miles. Miles, are you there? All right. And I see Ryan is not here today.
Wait a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thanks,
Oh,
Miles.
sorry, sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Yeah, well, the nice weather has brought us, we've had actually, I was just down there the other day doing 2 showings that were very fruitful. So hopefully we're going to be backfilling some of these spaces here shortly. One's, I think, definitely going to sign a lease within the next week or so. The other one's a not-for-profit that has to go back to their board for approval, but we spent about an hour with them going through, you know, the floor plan and kind of seeing how their group would fit in that space, and they were very excited. So the nice weather's brought some good sightings for sure.
What type of space are they looking at?
One's more you know, more of a, you know, just industrial type space for a tumbling club. Someone has a group of young people that they train, and they need a space to continue that more, for lack of a better term, gymnastics type setting. The other one is a not-for-profit. I forget what the exact name of the group is, but it borders around counseling and addiction counseling and things like that. And they have a pretty large footprint in Ontario County, and I think Seneca and Yates County too. They're looking to combine into one room.
Looking at the front spaces on the first floor or the second floor?
Yes, the front spaces.
Yeah, good.
Hey, Miles, just a quick question. This is Lowell.
Yes.
What are the rents that they're looking to pay? Just out of curiosity.
Well, one's more of you're talking about raw warehouse space that's, probably in the, I don't know, $4 to $6 a foot range. And then the other one's, more of a, more market rate than what was going on in there before a little bit. So I haven't negotiated with the front space yet. We just kind of did an initial showing and just talked about some options, because they're going to need a build out and some things like that we would have to come up with some plans for that.
Okay. Any questions, Miles? Finances look okay, Miles?
Yeah, I think things are, we just need to keep increasing the amount of space that we have vacant, get things rented up. So that's our big focus right now. But we've had a nice little push here and a nice response. So we're hopeful.
Okay, any questions, Lowell? Or look at you, for Miles?
Ask me if you want. I'll answer anything.
Yeah, I know you will. All right. Thank you, Miles, for joining us and bringing us up to date. Good to hear that there's some activity.
You got it.
Okay, City Council, Chris, Amy, who's Who's
Chris can
on?
speak for city council.
I'm not sure we have a report of anything substantive. We've had a couple of retreats, or we'll have a second retreat, and we're looking at a lot of hopefully some new and innovative ways to go about our business, but we'll see. 7 new council members are.
Yep, and election is on Tuesday, so that'll bring on the next member. They will count the vote, usually a week after will be the official vote. And then we can swear in the next member. A couple things that pertains to this board that happened at the last council meeting. The property sales process was resolved again. And so those property sales will go on to online, probably by the end of the month, I think is when we're hoping to put that list back out. And then the short-term rentals, which were set to begin on March 1st, have been halted until the council can come back together for a work session to establish what that application fee. I think there's a couple other areas that they would like to discuss as well. But that ordinance is paused, so it was set to begin March 1st. There needed to be one more resolution on a fee amount because that was not part of the initial, while it was discussed, it was not part of the resolution that was brought forward, but that has now been tabled until a future date.
Has that firm that's doing the list been successful in putting that list together?
Yeah, so there's 136 active properties in the last 6 months. 86 were active in February. They had about a 10% occupancy rate. Last year, revenue to those host homes was almost $2.4 million. In that list, we get every property owner as well as who posts that property, where they are listed, how much they're listed for, when they are rented, and what those rental prices are.
Is the review of these properties by the planning board still active, or going to wait till after you set the?
We're gonna
fees?
have to hold on that as well.
Looking forward to that.
There's a reluctant, or I guess an impediment is that we haven't found a local politician willing to go forward with the request for occupancy tax to be applied to these properties when people are there. Though I found out yesterday that Wayne County did get Pam Helming to do it, but she's not, I guess, returned our phone calls on this one. But
Ontario County is taking the lead on it because that's gonna be the bigger push, but they have not been able to have anyone to carry it forward, and you have to have both of our representatives do any role.
But this licensing program isn't going to be delayed because of that, right? I mean, that's
No,
a secondary.
Yep,
That's a secondary thing. Another layer.
yes,
Okay.
yep.
although there is an equity, I mean, if you're trying to get new hotels in here and they learn that you have this occupancy tax on a hotel, but you don't have it on this burgeoning thing, I think that's an impediment for us in development.
Sure, should be a
Yeah.
fair playing field.
And I think we've had discussions with a couple of hotels who have no expectation for that because it's not uncommon that you don't have an occupancy tax on short-term rentals. They're so new.
Yeah,
There are a lot of states that don't have it yet. So I don't think it's a major impediment. I think it's something they consider for sure.
Okay. Very good. Any questions, Amy? And Chris, thank you.
There was one thing, there was a Rails to Trails Bridge. Is that still in
Yes,
the works?
that is. I can probably have David talk more about that because it's coming out of his department, but we were awarded a grant that will put a bridge over Doran Avenue, connecting more of the trail project. I don't know, David, if you have more than that.
That's about it. Working with Blueprint, they also have a grant for a bridge over the train tracks nearest the GDC. We're working with Finger Lakes Rail on getting the okay to go on that. Both of those in combination with the ramp that we're working on at the entrance of the trail will get us moving a little bit. We still have more work to do. We're kind of actively pursuing other grants that can help fund the full alignment and.
Good progress is happening. How about Exchange Street?
Yeah, that's the biggest.
Yeah.
All right, okay. That's quite a leap if you know to go from there to the GDC.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Anything else, Lowell?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thanks. BID, I guess Catherine is not here. Committee reports, David.
So only the executive committee has met during the last month, so I don't have a big committee report. We want to jump to projects.
Do you want to?
Committee wise, we do need to convene the nominating committee.
Got it. It's down on unfinished business. Got it. You
Yeah.
got it down there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Where are we at in the IDA projects then?
I've been working with the DeSalles team. They were hoping to have the application in last Friday to get on this agenda, but weren't able to quite get there. So we're expecting them next month. It's great to see that moving forward. I think they're also coming back to the planning board to make.
Yeah, nothing has changed since it was approved. So I think it's just a review.
Yeah, it just expired. So I'm glad to see that moving forward. I haven't gotten a further update on Lake's Edge. I'm staying in contact with them and pushing on that. Other projects in the works, we got news that Trinity is working on moving forward. We don't have an application there yet. But they were talking about.
Yeah, it looks like it's another year before he comes to us. So.
We do have today a presentation from a project that would like our support in the form of selling land, which we'll get to down under new business.
Okay, any questions? All right. New business, review of the mission statement.
Should bring that up. Great. This was just that we were going to have on our agenda every month that we remind ourselves what the mission statement is.
Yes.
And we're scrolling to remind us what it is.
I looked to see, it was kind of in the minutes, but it actually wasn't stated in the minutes. So
Okay. Let me pull up.
yes, it is. I'm sorry. I didn't read down far enough. Do you want me to read it?
That would be awesome.
Thank you. The Geneva idea was created to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in acquiring, constructing, maintaining, equipping, and furnishing certain types of projects and facilities to advance the job opportunities, health, general prosperity, economic welfare, and recreation opportunities of the city of Geneva. Chris, would you like to take a shot at wordsmithing that a little bit?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
There's an awful lot of adjectives or verbs in there.
You're all powerful.
It's
You
very
can do anything.
very difficult for us to handle all that, but yeah, so that's our mission statement. We want to keep it in front of us. It's pretty broad. It touches on a lot of things, so I think we want to, and I don't think we need to pare it down, but we do need to focus. And make sure that we're keeping the development side of this moving along. And I think part of it is being proactive. Now with David here, hopefully we'll have a little bit more of that proactivity. So we look forward to that. Any other discussion of that?
Is there a role for this group? And I'm still learning a little bit about for a review of like properties that we just approved a purchasing process for the city. But to look at the properties as with the big picture of development potential.
I think that's certainly been talked about. We tried to do it. We tried to insert the IDA's presence on the website that would include properties. And unfortunately, it leaked up with the county's database, which included everything in the county and all the, and it wasn't as precise as we thought we could do it, but it just failed. We didn't have the manpower, I guess, to pull it off. But we would take the list that you guys are developing that are in fact commercial, not necessarily residential, but these are properties that can be developed by a developer. And I think Jim Kennedy last meeting said there was also some properties right outside of town that would also benefit the city if in fact they were
Right.
a project could be met there. But I know there is some property for sale, not by us, but in the industrial park now. Ryan Wallace has got a subdivision now. There's And so, I mean, there is properties that we should know what's there and have a list off, or I think our effort probably 5 years ago was to make sure it was on the website. So if someone was looking at it, and it had to do with the GEDC also,
Mhm.
where someone could actually see what spaces in the building were available
Mhm.
and how much square footage was available and the price.
Right.
You know, actually have a listing of this is available. Only because I think anyway, with the advent of the internet, people are looking for things by themselves.
Mhm.
They're not necessarily going to a broker. They're looking at 10 o'clock at night saying, geez, I wonder if Geneva has anything.
Right.
It'd be nice if our website, the city website, was a little bit easier to navigate and find exactly what's available, or be able to go to the the IDA portion of the website and say, hey, we're actively involved in promoting these properties, both city and private properties.
Mhm.
When CCN moved to the city here, Zotos owned the building that we're in, and we bought the building from Zotos, but the city was super active in getting us down here to take a look at it.
Mhm.
Both the mayor, the city manager, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and a banker.
Mhm.
And in the county, Mike Manikowski was involved. I mean, it was like a big deal to show us this building.
Sure.
I haven't seen that type of activity in a long time. And I think that's what we need.
The amassing a bunch of residential opportunities that are not contiguous to a single developer who might be able to execute. That's not because it's not commercial.
It's not, we couldn't be involved with that. I don't
Right.
think it has to be an apartment. Right, it has to be,
commercial.
yeah, like a commercial activity,
Yeah.
but that list of individuals, I mean, that's, city's gonna be marketing that, that's
Mhm.
kind of out of our review, but certainly the industrial or the commercial space, we should be all over.
Mhm.
We should have a nice concise list and know exactly what we're gonna do with it.
And a desire that the person is going to put value into the land, not just sit on it. And you know, have some preference towards growth and an increased
So, to-do list.
Noted. It's something I've been talking about with Miles, is that we'd really like specific descriptions of each space that's available and what the price is, because I also think that people today expect that knowledge. They don't want to come and say, oh, we'll talk about what a price could be.
Exactly,
Mhm.
They're not gonna come if there isn't a price there.
correct.
You know, maybe for a large business where there might be some negotiation, but if you're renting an office space for 3 people, you're not gonna come and talk about it if it's not there.
So we do have AutoCAD drawings of the building, and maybe that could be pulled together. I did talk to Miles about, and he did add some room numbers in there, but we need to put that in the space so then kind of go through, and he does provide a list of what spaces are occupied. But we should associate the rents, you know, the revenue on the space, or what's expected if we do it. So
Yeah.
there's a little bit of work to do that.
The town is often talking about their planned urban developments that are done in advance of development. Have we done any of that here as an organization to have targeted properties with pre-planned approvals and density plans so that somebody coming to town doesn't start from the scratch he's talking about?
I think what you're probably talking about is developer-led plans. So like Lake's Edge is an example of that. It was a planned development zone where the developer came to the city with an idea. It didn't match the zoning. The zoning has a choose your own adventure category that you basically come to the city council and propose your system for a property, and it gets voted on there.
Yeah, the town talks about the fact that they have some of that work done in advance for certain properties so that somebody coming doesn't have to persuade the city
Okay.
that this is, which they did in that case after the fact. But anyway, it's just a more proactive description. I don't know enough about it to say how we go about it, but it's something they talk about as an advantage they have.
Sure.
Do they have actual PUD zones?
I don't know.
I was gonna say, that would be uncommon for a town,
I mean,
but
I've never heard of a community doing that in advance. you usually get the application by a developer to do that because he wants more density or he wants greenfields and he wants wetlands and in exchange for that, he wants more density, that kind of thing. So it's usually developer driven. I've never seen it.
That has been here, obviously. I
Municipality.
think the question is that the modern accommodating way of promoting
Okay.
efforts?
I have worked on things like that from a municipal perspective. I worked with the town of Ithaca. We designed a whole new village. Adopted zoning, then the developer wanted it slightly different, started the process over, completed the process again. It hasn't been built yet. They're probably gonna do it again. But there was definitely some laying of groundwork. But I do think when you're working with a developer, they're gonna come with their own
Sure.
needs and
Certainly, the starting point is having the list of properties,
Yeah.
knowing what we have.
Well, also the zoning updates. I mean, that was a big reason for a lot of that, right? Was to get better zoning in there so that it was more ready for what people might want to
We don't
do.
have that many big parcels left in the city, right? To examine this type of use.
not very many.
So the town is certainly, they got a lot of space, so it's easy to do. Here, I don't know of any big parcels.
Town and Country Plaza,
Yeah, it's in foreclosure, yeah.
right?
There's that 12 acres that Ryan has in the industrial park. There's property.
In Castle, up on Castle, 15 acres behind the Smith.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the city owns that, right?
No, the city does not own that. It's owned by the.
The gas station, what you mean, talk about?
No, this is out behind the Smith Observatory area.
Oh, Smith. I thought you meant the Smith
Oh,
afterwards. All right.
sorry.
Yes, okay. All right. Anyway, opportunities. I think it's with some energy, we could probably at least start with something, see what we got, and then discuss maybe ways of promoting it.
Yeah, and I've been working with Ryan Davis. They have a commercially focused system like that they want to make sure.
Yeah,
we're
that's,
keeping
we
updated.
kind of, when we kind of tried it before with the website and stuff, it just that it morphed into that. Well, they just redirected you to the county, and then City of Geneva was clearly a stepsister in that. I mean, stepchild in there. So, it'd be good to do our own thing.
Sure.
What is the agenda? Put it on to new business, right?
Yes, which Catherine isn't here, so I guess she
Right.
gave a lovely presentation to the LDC earlier this week, just about the work that they're doing with creating new signage for the native plantings around downtown with a QR code that you can scan and get information about what's in that bed. They're doing a lot more work with a person hired specifically to work with the plantings and organize more volunteers, and it seems like it's going well.
That's good. And we've already committed to participating this year. That's all been approved, and that's good. Dining presentation. I assume you're here to tell us about this exciting new thing.
Exciting?
Exciting is right.
Okay. Well, my name is Jerry Collins.
Hey, Jerry.
I live in Colbert in Seneca County. And I have been out here for about 25 years. I'm from Connecticut, moved out here in 2000. And we bought a farm down there in Colbert, and we opened a bed and breakfast. And I'm a diner guy. My father-in-law ran a successful diner back in Connecticut for 40 years, and you just get into, the love of diners. So I'm also a tourist guy. I've been studying tourism in the Finger Lakes in this general area, Geneva, Seneca County, Ithaca, Schuyler County. I have a small restaurant down in Watkins Glen. I determined somewhere along the line when I first moved out here that Ithaca was the place to be because that's where all the people were. I've since, from a tourism perspective, decided that's not really true. The tourists are in Watkins Glen. I've been there for 8 years. And we have, in the summertime, roughly 20,000 tourists per weekend in Watkins Glen. And of course, a lot of them filter up this way on both sides of the lake through the wineries and the breweries, et cetera. And so I know where they come from. I am right out on the sidewalk. I talk to all of them that I can collar. They come into my business. I've got it down to a science. I know why they're here, what they do, what they think, what they like, what they don't like. And, you know, that's just my hobby, among others. But diners are my hobby. Now, most of you probably remember, some of you probably don't, that Geneva had a diner,
Mhm.
the Texaco Grill. And as far as I can tell, it was the only diner, and when I say diner, I'm talking about dining car, as opposed to a luncheonette that puts a sign out front, which they have every right to do, that says diner. Diners are diners, you know, it doesn't matter. But what I'm specifically focusing on is the old dining car. So the Texaco Grill used to be located next to on Lake Street, next to what is now a winery there. I guess it used to be the bus station, used to be a Texaco station at first. And my research tells me that, you know, it came to brand new to Geneva, to that location in 1932. It was built in Norwalk, Ohio. Diners were a big thing in those days. This would be the late 20s. And the first and second, maybe the third owners really had a going thing there for 40, 50 years. And it was a local gathering spot. And the Historical Society has a big folder on it. And when you look at the information in there, you see that, you know, these were the kind of the movers and shakers in the community were meeting in there. You know, the photographs show a lot of small businessmen, suits and ties. You know, they probably gather there every couple of times a week or maybe every morning for breakfast and shoot the breeze and find out what's going on in town and that kind of thing. And I might add that it was an absolutely gorgeous little restaurant. It was beautiful in the inside. It had beautiful woodwork, and it had beautiful stainless steel and glass counters. It was really a classy place. When I got here, and discovered a story about the diner, of course, it was taken by the city in 2003 by eminent domain, I guess, to make way for the hotel, which David says the city still owned. I didn't realize that, and on a lease basis. And for that matter, the building next to it, the city owned. But it wasn't in good shape, let's put it that way, when it closed in 2003. A local lady in the area ran it, I guess, in its last iteration as a diner from 1996 to 2003. And she used it, you know, it was seating in the front, and they had a building in the back where the kitchen was and everything, but it was, you know, through the years, it had a fire or two, and it had different uses. It was closed for quite a while. It was storage, et cetera. So what happened to it was that when the city bought the land to put the hotel there, the story I got was that part of the funds were federal funds. The diner was fell into some kind of a category of historic building, and they didn't want it destroyed. So they moved it, and they put it behind the sewage treatment plant. A lovely site. And there it more or less decayed from 2003 till 2018 or so when I discovered it back there. And I just fell in love with it. And when you get old, you get crazy. And I thought, yeah, I can rehabilitate this thing. It was in tough shape, but the bones of the building were there, you know, it was salvageable. So I took it down to, had it moved to my place down in Covert, and I've been working on it ever since. I've basically remodeled it, restored it, and re-equipped it with a bunch of old stuff that I have found in various places, Watkins Glen, old VFWs, old tables, old chairs from the 40s, that kind of stuff. And rehab them too. So it's sitting in my front yard on blocks, fully equipped, remodeled. My plan was, at the time, I bought it to move it to Watkins Glen, because we don't have a diner in Watkins Glen either. But I found, you know, over the past 3 or 4 years, I just have not been able to find a spot, find a piece of land. It's just so tight down there. Most of you are probably familiar with Watkins. It's a very compact, small space, been developed for 150 years for tourism. Every square inch is taken up with something or other. So I beat my head against the wall for years, and I've decided that I'm not going to get any results there. So it just occurred to me, and that it has a connection to Geneva. It started in Geneva. It's 19 years old, 90 years old almost, and it is a iconic historic building, basically. Small. And I just wondered at the time, I didn't think about Geneva when I bought it and when I moved it, because it seemed to me at the time that the people in charge were not interested in historic buildings or, you know, renovating everything. You know, we're all in David's generation today. Everything is new, and that's fine, but I live in the last century. And I think from, you know, when I talked to David, that maybe Geneva's coming around to the idea that tourism and, you know, is the name of the game these days. I go back a long way with the IDA in Seneca County. And when they first started, they didn't want any part of tourism. They had the idea that you're going to bring back major industry into upstate New York. A total fallacy. But never say die.
A picture of the restored unit? I'm very familiar with it.
Are you?
Yeah,
So am I. I remember
I've stayed
too.
there many times.
Well, what brings me here today basically are two things. First of all, I am looking for a spot to place it, to put it in Geneva. And, you know, my experience tells me that IDAs have land available, or cities have small parcels available. Maybe that's what brought me to David, just to check and see if anything was going on. And I find that, you know, things have changed a little bit, and I think in the attitude of the city toward things. And I just wondered whether, I'm here to talk about two things, whether there's a collective memory in the city of the diner, whether it really was something people liked and, you know, at the time, and we're sorry to lose. Of course, this goes way back now. None of us here were there back in the 40s and the 30s when it was in its heyday, but diners are still, I can tell you this much, as a diner nut, diners are still a viable concept. They're a totally American concept. And kids today, even 10-year-olds, 7-year-olds, know what a diner is. And, you know, basically still in business. So I just wanted to, you know, kind of get a feel for whether that's something that Geneva would embrace, or whether we've just moved on to the point where we're all, you know, all being the citizens interested in just Denny's and.
Tear Denny's down.
So you're interested
I
in,
know, I would.
in purchasing a property, I mean, we have a property right across the street from where it was.
Well, that's one, yeah, you have there. I'm very flexible. I just want to, from my standpoint, it's an iconic historic building. It belongs in Geneva, was in Geneva for 90 years. And that's, you know, first on the list. That's where it should.
Sure.
And I just wanted to get kind of a feel for whether people in Geneva felt that way too.
Yes,
I think that's so cool.
it's a cinch.
Okay, well, that's nice.
Brilliant.
Sorry, it's just me, but yeah.
Well, you're an old guy. I don't know if you,
I just-
I don't know if you and I count.
I just bought a 200-year-old house and
I did too.
Old guys matter too.
he lives next door to me in the oldest house in the city. So
You know, the one at Clinton and Goodman in Rochester.
Yeah.
Is extremely popular with little people, kids. It's a different way of eating and
That place is always
We
packed.
travel, that's what
It's
we
always
to
packed.
eat.
It's always packed.
and its food isn't that great,
Yeah.
but it's still packed.
It's very similar to the one that you purchased. Um,
So that's why I'm here. I'm just kind of feeling my way around and seeing if, you know, it's possible to do something in Geneva.
Well, thank you. Thank you for thinking of us and coming back.
I know I talked to David, and you have the sites I'm interested in that you presently own are,
Currently we do, yeah.
you have a site down there behind,
Right on the railroad tracks behind.
yeah, kind of
Centennial
like
Park. There's a
landlocked site in there between
there.
railroad tracks on 2 or 3 sides.
Sliver of land could take a nice long building.
Right.
I have the map up if it's useful to look at. So the IDA owns this, and this in that kind of general area.
It owns the winery still.
No,
No.
just this little piece of, just the parking for the winery. This is the winery. The city owns this.
City owns the winery.
The IDA owns this and this.
They lease it to the Stivers
Yes,
because that's an underperforming property too.
yeah, we can't, it's a foundry property, so you can't build or change that too much.
I see.
So those are the areas that we looked at.
Is a parcel by the creek there, right in the middle? You skipped it. Is that?
The city owns this one and this one,
Oh, wow.
just for fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this
There's
happened.
4 parcels right there.
This one is IDA, this one's the city, this one's the city, this one's the IDA. This one's the IDA, this one's the city, and this one's the IDA.
Nice work, right? I really like that sliver. Super patchwork. I'm really interested in that myself.
That is something we could discuss,
The sliver,
partnering with the city.
well, maybe if we did a swap with the city for this
And you could do that.
side of that, that would make this easier to get into.
Good visibility.
Are those city properties on your list of things to sell yet?
No, there,
Sell it because it's leased.
yeah,
Right.
right.
I mean,
It's under an active.
no, not
No, he's talking down
the
below,
other.
or the sliver.
The parking lot, so
The parking lot is on a lease.
it's not on, I mean, the parking lot at the bottom
Yeah.
is not on the list.
No,
Because you're waiting for something better.
It could be on the list,
I
but
think
it's
it-
being used as parking right now.
Yeah.
so.
I think that was, and also we discussed having a conversation with the IDA on why we have all these separate parcels and
Yeah.
should we be looking at a combined vision for them?
Yes.
Division, yeah.
Well, there may be some-
And then the parking.
I'm interested in buying
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
opposed to leasing. Now, the beautiful thing about a diner like that is it only takes, it measures, 15 wide by 48 long. So depending on the shape of a piece of property, you can either put it this way or that way. If you had a long, narrow stretch that was 35 feet long, wide, you could stick that diner in there. Or if you had something 70 feet wide by 40 feet deep, you could stick it, this being the street, you could get in there.
Where's the main entrance, in the middle of the,
It's on the
the
front,
longest?
it's a middle entrance.
That was the main entrance. I moved it at the end.
Okay,
The door on the end also.
You want to pass around your pictures?
Big pardon? Yeah, sure. That's what it looks like. It looked like when it was built. I'm not sure if it had a connection at the time with Texaco. But oddly enough, I found that through the historic documents of Watkins, it was the same kind of a situation, a little older, back in the early 20s. A Texaco, a little teeny Texaco station with an old diner similar to that next door. I just wondered, whether Texaco had the idea first about, how you put the convenience store and gas station, combine them, or the convenience store and the restaurant, or that kind of thing. But they were doing it back in the early 1920s too.
Did you have a picture of the way it is now? I think you showed me one when we.
Yeah, I have. It's on my handheld device.
And I think the question for me to get a sense of is if
thanks.
the IDA is interested, particularly in that kind of oddly shaped parcel that I can't think of a lot of other things we could do with,
Perfect use.
in pursuing a sale, and we could work on an offer.
So would be the first step for us to do a subdivision to kind of get the property continue, so it's continuous of some sort, I mean, between the city and us.
It would be helpful if we could trade the parking situation to make sure there's access. I think there's a kind of the pinch point, I'll put it like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be probably wide.
Just want to verify if we can put the diner back here, that we can get a driveway through, or maybe that is just parking here and people will just walk there. I did talk to the Finger Lakes Rail, and they said that not on their side, but on the side of the larger rail users, they would probably want a fence there so that people aren't wandering onto the tracks, but.
How big is the lot right on Lake to this
one?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, but
So I don't have the measurements. Let me see if I can.
That lot is large enough.
to fit it,
I
have
think-
parking in front or in back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in 2003, when Patty had the diner,
I think we're always
the
talking about making that.
city took it, they offered her
So, yeah.
that lot. Could be wrong about that. She refused because she didn't think it had enough parking. But my sense is.
Other diner across the street.
Let me zoom out.
No,
I'm gonna
go
zoom
into
out.
bicentennial park, you're gonna see that pretty quickly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have a lot of parking and you wouldn't want to be too close to park itself. My sense is you would want to be facing the lake and as close to the railroad tracks as possible. And as far as parking.
To the north would be better, yeah.
Parking, I don't know if that existed. That's any parking back in 2003, but that's plenty of overflow parking right there. Parking's not an issue with that lot there. This lot here probably wouldn't couldn't put more than 10 cars, maybe.
Next steps, what should we do?
So if there's interest, I think the next step is for me and Jerry to work on an offer. If you're willing to consider sales of those, the reason we were looking at the parcel to the north is because this one is kind of higher value and. When we talked about the assessed value, I
Got
think
it.
Jerry's chin hit the table,
All right,
so we can work on
yeah, see if we can get it.
proposal to bring back.
Well, the other thing we discussed another couple of pieces of parcels up in the industrial park. And when we talked, this is a low budget project. I'm kind of a low budget guy. So, David told me what the assessments were on these properties. As opposed to the one in particular in the industrial park that I was kind of interested in, and that was somewhat lower.
So the other option was the parcel that has the driveway to the cell tower in the middle of the industrial park would fit this.
Right,
So why don't Jerry and I work on
Okay.
offers for both of those?
Well, the one I was interested in up there after thinking about it would be the one on the
On 14,
by the driveway into it.
yeah,
small parcel.
the entrance and we can look at that too and maybe draw.
I mean, as long as it's in Geneva, it really doesn't matter. Historically, that would be a better area.
Certainly.
First wise,
And a nice link. Good story to tell.
depending on, how much you wanted to showcase.
Is anything happening with the 5-star drive-through down closer to the OEO property? That bank,
Oh, yeah,
that's empty, right?
yeah,
So,
That's actually.
but I think the value is too high and we don't own it,
We do?
don't,
Don't, yeah, I didn't think so.
no, but it's a good parcel for someone to develop, but I think
Yeah,
it's
right.
probably very
Yeah,
valuable.
I didn't think we did.
Are we forced to go with the assessed value?
No,
Okay, so if we see a great benefit to our general history and to attract people to this region and have them stay, that has value. So to me, that would be a reduction in the assessed value.
I
Or
don't
they
know,
ask
we
you
could,
price.
we could do a pilot, certainly, we can do that part of it, to help with that part, but as far as.
Are we stuck with the assessed value?
I don't think it has anything, we don't have that authority, certainly. Do I?
oh, I think what he's
City.
saying is, can we sell it for less than
Less
the
money.
assessed
I
value?
see sell it, I thought you meant tax rate.
No, sell it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
or lease it.
We can do that, yes.
you can,
To make it so that
that's,
His
that's
great
true,
work
yes,
is
yes,
not
we can sell it
for
for, yeah,
okay, I'd be glad to look at any parcel that and sketch something out.
particularly this type of parcel that we're
Yeah.
looking at, I mean, it is not marketable to speak of, except for something extraordinary like this. Jerry, thanks for coming in and
Thank
introducing
you
us to
folks
the
very
idea.
much. I appreciate
We'll
you
be,
taking the time to talk about
as
this.
David said, he'll be working with you and, trying to see what we can package up for you, all right?
Yeah, I'll be in touch with David.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for your time.
Ben, are you still on the phone?
I am, yes, I'm still waiting for the plumber to show up, unfortunately.
Yeah, right.
So. It's a question for you. Can we go into an attorney-client
Yes.
meeting without having a
Yep.
forum? Great.
All right,
Um,
we're good, wait a minute.
There were two other things on the agenda, which was we
Okay,
have responses to the RFP for the GDC. We need a committee to review those.
okay, so we had one,
Thinking.
do we, for the GDC, oh, we
You're
did,
thinking of the RFP, you're thinking of the other one,
right, for the economic.
plan.
Strategic plan, for yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's only three of us here.
Yeah. Go.
I volunteer, always.
We're talking about the one
One meeting, and when are you leaving town?
Sunday,
Sunday, yeah, he'll be out of pocket for 2 weeks.
but I don't
know if you can review them.
oh, right.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's CNS, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right, he's through.
I helped write the thing, but I didn't know CNS was going after it.
Yeah. Well, Irene and I could be the committee, how about
Okay,
that?
great. We have 3 applications. We can review them and
Oh, yeah.
get something rolling, bring it to the next month.
Okay. Status of the strategic plan RFP.
So we hired a group called Community Revitalization and Rejuvenation Consultants, headed by Gary Ferguson, who I've worked with before. Was the scores, they were much higher than everyone else. The committee was really happy with it, so I'm glad to have it moving forward.
So you're going ahead with the contract with them?
Yep.
Okay, good. Unfinished business is a nominating committee. We have a number, how many applicants do we have now for the?
6 applicants. 3 of them are only for the IDA position, 2 of them were for the IDA or the LDC, and 1 of them was someone who checked every box. But we only have 2 spots, so we have way more applications than spots. The committee is Irene, RJ, and Lowell, and we should get together in the next week.
Sounds good.
Let me know and I'll zoom in.
Great.
Down south.
All right. Okay, at this point, we're going to go in an executive session. I'd like a motion to go in executive session to discuss proposed pending or current contract negotiations. That's not the phrase that's supposed to be, right? There's a phrase that's why we're going in.
You're just going into attorney-client because
Correct.
you don't have enough for executive session, so you don't have to do it all. You're. just
We
going
want
into an attorney.
got to be in an executive session for.
It'll just be.
Yeah, we formally don't need a motion because we're just gonna have an attorney-client
Meeting.
conversation.
So should we just close this meeting?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting. Lowell?